Welcome back to another episode of Ladies Kicking Ass. I'm so excited to be able to introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Stephanie Polcyn, and she is a mama of four, which is a full-time job in itself. I don't even know if you can call that a job. It's just a full-time on-call human being to four other human beings.
Yes.
She is a self-proclaimed runner and book nerd, and professionally, she is a Christian health and wellness coach, best-selling author, international empowerment speaker, and a podcast host, which we are going to get into, and we'll let her tell us a little bit more about that. But Stephanie, thank you so much for being on Ladies Kicking Ass today.
Thank you so much for having me. It means so much to be able to be in front of your audience and with you and just to share. I love this. So thank you for having me.
Of course. I love anytime that I talk to women entrepreneurs that are like, I'm just over here juggling things. And I know that when we interacted as far as like talking about getting on the podcast, you said that a few times in your application to get onto the podcast. And I was like, I have to talk to her, because I think there's this reality that people think I have to have this life balance and I want to chase my big goals and I want to be the best mom or best wife I can be, and friend and everything else that we try to put ourselves into. But they often feel like there's something wrong with them because it's not balanced. What's your kind of take on balance versus juggling things when you're trying to be a achiever?
I think balance is an illusion. It's literally just an illusion. We all strive to be and have that balanced life, but it's not, I don't want to say it's not possible, but it's really, really close to impossible to have it, just because one day you may be an epic mom and nothing from your business gets done. The next day your business might be exploding and you're really needed there, whereas you can't be as present as a mom. Or I have a lot of times where it's like, I've got all the chores done today, but tomorrow I got nothing done. Like I will get nothing done tomorrow because I did so much today in the realm of like household chores and things like that. But it's all about, at the end of the day and at the end of a week is kind of how I look at it and go, did I equal it all out? So one day I was up, but another day I was down. Did I kind of balance it in the way that I feel good about it? Like I have to give myself an understanding that I'm doing the best I can and I'm not perfect. So yes, there's going to be an update and then a down day, but overall, can I say that I did my best that day? That's what matters more than am I trying to keep the balance alive or the illusion alive? Because I mean, something's going to fall at one point in time if you're just focused on that.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard this so many times recently, even like social media posts or people talking about it on podcasts. Like if you've only got 50% to give that day and you give your 50%, that's 100%, you gave everything that you really had that day. So you can't, make that 500 task to-do list every single day and then beat yourself up at the end of the day because you didn't get it done. The setting the realistic expectations is so incredibly important. Important.
It really is. Like like you said, if you only have 50% to give, but you give that whole 50%, you're giving 100. Like that's where you have to realize. And that fluctuates day by day. I might have 100% day, but then 3 days from now, it's not 100% because I'm sick, I'm tired, whatever. And I have to be okay with that. But it's just I continue to think it's just grace. It's grace in yourself. Yeah. But now if you have the tools to be able to go from 50% to 90%, then you know that you can grow and give more, but it starts with you.
Absolutely. What do you think the tools are for people to be able to do that? Because some days just sucks, I was listening to my morning motivation stuff this morning with Brendan Burchard, and he was talking about how like he scores himself every week. And he's like, this week I was a 78. And yeah, that pretty much reflects it. He's like, I'm the high performance coach. And everybody's like, what the hell, man? Like 78%, you should be like in your 90s. He's like, sometimes just things happen, you know, you have unexpected things that happen. As moms, sometimes I know for me, I have like a whole day planned at work and meetings and everything. And then I wake up and my kid's barfing in the morning and you're like, okay, you know, today's not going to be one of those days. So, what do you think are the tools in order for people to realize and not get so down on themselves when they don't actually accomplish everything that they need to every single day?
Um, I think first off, it's setting priorities. So if you can
Mhm.
set a priority list of, okay, these, and I don't do more than 3 things in a day. I make a priority list of these 3 things have to be completed, right? And those are set, and that's great. If I get the rest of the to-do list done, wonderful, great. But my focus is these top 3 things. I can add once I
Mhm.
complete them, but I know that these are the 3 things. So if that means I have to go grocery shopping, I need to send out 10 emails today, and I need to work on my course, then those 3 have to get done. On top of, you have to realize that you're not putting in there, they're a full-time job. You know what I mean? Like the kids in the house are seriously a full-time job. You have to be able to understand that, yes, my priorities are these 3 things, but they're also that the unlisted things of my kids and keeping them alive and getting them to sports and their appointments and the things like that's still something you're not even accounting for. So keeping your priority list to 3 things that are immediate, need to get done today, and then
Mhm.
give yourself that grace. If you know what, you can achieve more that day, wonderful, go for it. If not, it's fine. You did your best today, and accepting that you have done your best, whatever that looks like that day, is something
Mhm.
that I did the priority list, but then I was like, but the rest of the list isn't done. And I was like, but you have to understand you did your best today. Like, and that was something that when I put my head down on the pillow every night, I go, you did your best today, whatever that
Yeah.
looks
Yes. I think a big saving grace too that I would just and add on to the end of that. Many times I would go to bed thinking because I would build these unbelievable, undoable to-do lists for myself. So I'm a big top 3 too. And I knock that shit out before noon in the morning. This is just like everything that I got to get done. Then the rest of the day we'll deal with everything else that comes up. But for me, even at nighttime, when a lot of times we tend to get down on ourselves because we didn't accomplish everything we think we should have accomplished, is just sitting down at the computer and even just journaling out for 5 minutes. Like, how did today go? You know,
like.
what is something that you want to do for tomorrow and set up your day for tomorrow? If something didn't get done today, how can I carry this in tomorrow? Or maybe I can't carry it in tomorrow because I've already got a full plate tomorrow. Where can I put this? And then it really helped me to be able to fall asleep and not wake up in like mad panic of like, I didn't get something done, or I need to do something for the people that have a hard time shutting their brain off at nighttime. That's a really cool tactic that has helped me tremendously with being able to move on and to be able to sit down and celebrate if you had a kick-ass day that day that you're like, oh my gosh, look at how much stuff I really did get done today. You know, sometimes
I
we don't see the end of the list, and so we
right.
beat ourselves up for that, but we really did accomplish like 15 things today. So you really should be quite proud of yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say a gratitude journal is what I do at night, and that's something that helps, is just being able to say what am I thankful for today, and putting the celebrations down on paper. And I
Yeah.
might text it to my husband throughout the day, or like at the end of the day kind of just jot it down in notes of like, look what I did today, right? And run through it and just be proud of yourself for what you did do today.
Yep. I agree. I agree so much. So tell us a little bit about, since we know that you're juggling a bunch of things with 4 kids, a husband, and a business. Tell us about Sweet Disaster and what it's all about and who you help and serve.
So Sweet Disaster is a nutrition and health company. I help those working moms to be able to prioritize themselves so that they can 4x their life. Like, it's truly what I've done, is that I want to help you 4x your life, 4x your productivity, your energy levels, your family time, all by starting with you. because so many times these working moms, we will put ourselves last on the totem pole. We don't think about ourselves. We put ourselves last and we think, okay, well, if I just give to everybody else, I'll be fine. And then we end up burnt out and we end up trying to pour from an empty cup that can't give anything. So I help you to be able to prioritize yourself, optimize your time, and really focus on your health. Because when you're at your best, everybody else gets you at your best and they get to be at their best. So it starts with you and it expands outward. I started the business in September of 2020. I know, the best time, right in the middle of COVID. I started business and I was homeschooling my kids at the time, along with, running a business, homeschooling, taking care of my house. My husband works construction, so he's gone a lot of the time. And I was just like, you know what, if I know this is something I needed, then I can only imagine how many other moms need the same thing. And so I started it and I started working. And so now I'm 3 years in and absolutely loving every ounce of what I do. My job is not a job. I love pouring into others. I think I truly found my purpose and where my calling is to be. And I get to show my kids, along with everybody else, how you can bring them along with you and still rock the world.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much, because this has been such a huge topic on the podcast lately. The new ones that are coming out, you'll have to listen to them, because this pattern just keeps showing up everywhere. And I'm like, the universe is trying to say something in here, but it's really that big thing of what the health of the mom in the home, what a difference that makes for the health of the family. And that's the spouse and that's the kids, because moms really are that glue and that center that holds that family together. And if you keep pouring from an empty cup all the time, I get really emotional about it, because I know I find myself in that place, and I'll come home from work, or even if I'm working from home that day and I'm so stressed out and you snap at your kids or your husband, you're like, whoa, where did that come from? It really is so incredibly important to pay attention to where you're at and needing to take a break and stop just pedal to the metal all the time, and figure out where you can pour into yourself so that you can be that optimal person in your family, that ray of sunshine in the family. And you don't have to hold that. When a lot of times when we've talked about this, even in mastermind settings, people are like, well, I shouldn't have to be the sunshine all the time. You're like, great, you shouldn't be. But if you are, a majority of the time, someone else will be able to step in for you, when you're having one of those rough days. So as far as like you talking about bringing your kids alongside and them being able to watch their mom step into their purpose and things, what does that mean to you for your kids to be able to see you do that?
So it's crazy, because this will probably get me emotional, but I want my kids to realize, one of the missions I always said for why I brought my kids, one, I want other women to see that you can bring your kids and still pursue your dreams. But I want my kids to realize that becoming a parent doesn't mean your dreams stop. It doesn't mean that at all. I want my girls to realize that being a mom doesn't mean that you stop realizing who you are, because you still have to look at you in the mirror every day. You have to love you. And that isn't defined by a title of mom or title of spouse or title of anything else. Like, you have to love you. So if your dream is to still do this, bring them with. Like, I was a young mom. I had her at 22 when I was still in college, and I brought her with me literally to my final 3 days after I had her. I brought my child with me, because it's one of those things. I never want my kids to see something being like it's a block and a burden. I want my boys to see that how to support a spouse, right? And how do we still go for our dreams and be the best parent out there, and that your dreams also don't stop, but you should support your spouse in the way of doing it. So I want to be the example for what I hope my children in the future and strive for in the future. I want my girls, truly all of my children, to realize that becoming a spouse and a parent doesn't stop who you are, and you can still go for your goals, go for your dreams, And if that's your purpose and you find it before you're getting married, great. But if you start to find it afterwards, that's fine too. Bring them with. It's okay.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. I brought my kids to, I own a septic company as well. And I would bring my kids to work with me all the time. My son, when he was just a little guy, and I had this little like expandable baby swing, and it fit perfectly under my desk. And he would just sit in there and swing like crazy. My kids have grown up at that place, but you know what? They're not scared of work either. And being able to watch their mom like be in those kinds of industries and do those kinds of things is so incredibly cool. Because I think something that's been so interesting in seeing our kids grow up is the difference in which these kids come from different households and their view on the world. I'm sure you can see that with like your teenagers coming into stuff and you're like, you know, for my daughter, she's like, where can I make some money? Like she's got a babysitting gig today. She's 13, you know, she makes little sugar scrubs and she sells those. Like she's a hustler. She wants to do things. Like she comes and works in my septic office now. And it's so cool to be able to see them have that drive and that stuff. And then I have other kids in my life that are like, I'm just gonna have fun and be a kid, and then I'll get a job after I graduate high school. And I'm like, how are you gonna pay? You know, it's funny to watch the kids interact because my daughter's like, how are you gonna pay for stuff? Where are you gonna buy your car? You know, and being able to do that. So I think really bringing those kids along is allowing them to be a really good example for other kids too, that maybe haven't had that influence in their life. Do you see that same thing with your kiddos?
100%. You know, my oldest is just like yours, who is like, okay, well, I'm going to go. And so it's funny. I have a friend who does Mary Kay, and she was like, well, I can have you be like an affiliate through me. And my daughter's like, I'm using it anyways. I'm telling my friends anyways, let's go. I need some money. And I was like, get it, girl. Like, it's so cool because you get to see them with like a no holds. Like they want it, they go get it. There's just a different drive, I think. And they are the biggest supporters. Like I have to say, they will cheer you on harder than anybody that ever could be, you know, social media or not, family or friend, it doesn't matter. Like my kids are some of my biggest supporters. Those four will like ride or die. They throw the biggest parties when it's like something so small. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think of it like hooray. And they're like, Mom, that's awesome. And I'm like, super, like, thank you guys. Like, thank you. And you know, it's just the right moment of the celebration for you. It's the right amount of like love. They just know how to have that innocence and share the joy with you. And then you get to see the opposite side when they are like, they're so proud of you. I was actually talking with a group of friends, and I was like, my son had a debate with one of his friends about who had the better mom. And my son was like, ride or die, his mom is the best. And I was like, oh, so proud, like so proud about you. But it was this idea like that they're crazy proud about you and your accomplishments. Why would I not want to bring them with me? And it shows them a different drive. It gives them that entrepreneur mindset already of, you know what, yes, this might be the way that you go, but doesn't mean that that side income can't happen. Doesn't mean that there's not, you know, that mindset of money is open. Do you come and get it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so I think that the generation of kids that are growing up with entrepreneurial parents, you're going to be able to pick them out of the crowd.
Yes.
Because they have developed almost a whole nother level of senses of like, oh, that's an opportunity. And it's not that we sit and preach that to them, but they watch it. And it's very much with children. I know Ed Milet says all the time, it's taught, not taught with a lot of kids. And I'm like, it's everything. They watch you do stuff. You can tell them not to do it. And they're like, why? You are, you know, they're watching you. They're not listening to you. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to, I think that's one of the most fulfilling things as a mom that is in this working world, is that you can influence this younger generation of things, which I know you had written in when we were asking you to tell us about your business, that you were extremely passionate about making your ripples count. What does that mean to you?
So that started with my cousin, actually. He passed away in September of 2020, beginning of September. And he was the one that literally he was the first one at every one of my kids' births. He was he was ride or die with all of his family. But he was also the one that he chose to coach in the poor neighborhoods of the area. He went to different football teams and would coach them. And he didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for anything. He just wanted to give back to the kids and show these that they belong and they're worth it. And so I started my business after losing him, just because I was like, I will not let his impact stop at me. I will not be that block. I want to do this. This is my time. I'm going to do it now. And he was always my supporter, and I know he's going to continue to support me. So I chose to jump in full steam ahead with, I'm not even gonna lie, I had very little knowledge and very little plan. I just did it. And I continue to say that I want my impact to go far beyond when somebody needs me. It's like throwing a rock in the water. The rock will sink and stop, but the ripples continue onward. And I want to be that for someone else, whether it's just, oh, that woman was such a smile and I can change their day forever, or it's listening to the podcast, having coaching with me, and they look back and be like, this was what happened, and share it onward. I just want to be able to continue to make a positive impact on the world and help as many people as I can to find their purpose and their light and know that they're worth it.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with us. And the ripple effect is something that it's something I really didn't think about, because you think, how many people am I actually, touching and influencing and doing stuff with now while I'm here? But it really truly is just the decision of you saying, I want to maybe just be a smile for somebody. Maybe I can be an even bigger influence by, having our kids watch us and grow up with these entrepreneurial mamas that are going to go out and, who the hell knows what they're going to be able to accomplish by watching this. And then they throw another stone in, and that ripple becomes ginormous, because people around you but also believe in that ripple effect. And I think that's a beautiful thing to think about, is even the one stone that you throw in, you'll impact other people to throw stones in too. And they'll be able to impact people in a whole nother level in a different way. It's really about that ability of being able to change your family tree. We hear that so much too. Like the Rockefellers and the Carnegies, they didn't come from money. Somebody decided, and had a good idea and went after it. And then it changed everything. There's somebody that out there can change that, and you can make the decision as to whether or not that person's going to be you. And it doesn't have to be monetarily. It can be influence in so many other ways. So that's a beautiful story.
It really can be, I've been told, carry the burden of the curse before you. Sometimes you got to break that curse, and you're the one that just gets to bear that burden. But I joyfully carry that. I'm one of those, I want to joyfully be able to change the mindset of my children, change the future, change what's coming, after me, because that's what I want. I want the ripples to count. And like you said, it doesn't have to just be monetarily. It can just be being the light in somebody else's life when they were in darkness, and it can just be the impact you make, not anything in the way of beyond that. It's just the impact sometimes.
Sure. And I think just showing up as much as you can to be your whole authentic, bold self too is a very beautiful way of making that impact, because there's a lot of people watching us that we don't even realize.
Yeah, 100%.
Even with your kids talking about, I love your story about your son arguing about who has the best mom, because how old's your son?
He's 11.
He's 11. Okay. So they're getting into that age group where they're like, parents, most of them, Like my kids will come in here and lay on the floor in my office while I'm working because they just want to hang out. And I'm like, this is so awesome. It's working something. They still like me because I have so many friends that will talk about it and they're like, oh, she's a teenager. She wants nothing to do with me now. I'm like, oh, what do you like? That would be heartbreaking to me. My kids are always next to me doing something. So that's a huge testament to, you and the impact and the ripple effect you're making with your son, even right there, in, him being so proud of you for the things that you've accomplished. And it might just be those little tiny things, there's so much about you that he loves and he's willing to tell everybody about that. And he'll carry those traits on too, because they mean something to him. It's really cool. Really, really cool. So I know with your programs that you have, you have programs, I should say that. So why don't you tell us what Sweet Disaster does as far as programs and ways that that women can work with you?
So yeah, there's a couple of different ways. I've always been told I'm the serial entrepreneur. So you can't just pick one thing with me. So like we talked, I have the podcast. It's daily motivation. So I'm on here daily on my podcast. I do Ask the Coach, but I do also do daily motivation. I will also have a membership. It's called Get Real Membership, where it's got workouts, meal plans, and mindset all in there. You can go through the app yourself. This is very self-paced, but new product and new meal plans coming all the time. So you can kind of have this at your fingertips of different information and knowledge about your health. I also do one-on-one coaching, and that coaching is more on the long lines. Like we said, I have a Faithfully Fit 30 program, and it's a 30-day challenge. I have a 6-month challenge or a full year with me, where we just work through prioritizing you and taking care of your health and getting you on the best of your abilities and the best track forward. And then the last thing I do have for them is my best-selling book. And that one is called the 90-Day Reset. And I always say it's similar to 75 Hard, but 75 Hard is all about mental toughness. This is about all around wellness, so that you can be able to leave the 90 days with a new lifestyle that prioritizes you, and it takes in consideration of your health, so that you can be at the best for the rest of your life.
That's incredible. What an accomplishment too, with a book, because I'm working on one right now, and that is not something simple to do. So that's so incredible that you have that. Where can they get a book if they're looking for that, or where can they go to be able to learn more about your courses and challenges?
So the book is on Amazon. So that's a really easy kind of find. You can literally go Sweet Disasters 90-Day Reset. And then if you come onto IG, is where I have everything linked in my bio, so that it's really easy. You don't have to go back and forth and all over the place. It's all in one stop shop. So my Instagram is at Steph Polcyn, or you can find it underneath Sweet Disaster, either one. But if you message me there, I can get you the direct links to whatever you're looking for. Otherwise, that's probably the easiest way to go, just so that you're not having to bounce around, is just finding me on socials.
Excellent. That's the easiest way for everyone to find people. One-stop shop for everybody. I have a question as far as what you work with women in nutrition and fitness. What do you think is their number one roadblock to getting started or being successful with that?
They don't feel they're worth it. That is probably one of the biggest things. Now, so to get started, it's feeling like they're not worth it. And so they don't feel like, oh, well, I could be using that money somewhere else. The kids need it more. So that shows me that you don't feel like you're worth the investment, and you are. Sure. You are worth it. When you get them started, the biggest hurdle is their mom guilt, and getting over and past the guilt of going in and investing in you, because they just, I'm already taking time away from the house by working, and they will come up with 1,000,001 excuses. So I think that feeling worthy is one of the biggest things, because you're already worthy. Like, you were chosen to be their parent. You were chosen to be that person's spouse. You're worthy enough. there's no need for like validation of that. Like, you don't need to be like, well, I did this, so then I can do that, or I've done this, so I need to do that. You like, just know that you're worth being and feeling at your best in every aspect of your life. If there is something that's not at its best, you deserve to be at that point of living your happiest and best.
Yes. Women, you are not a reward system. I think that's one of the biggest things in the world that I deal with too. And hearing with people that I'm talking to or coaching with, they say, like, well, if I get here, then I can do this. Or if I do this, then I can do this. And that is a very, very scary place to put yourself into, because now you are your accomplishments. And I say that because I was very much in the middle of that. Like, I am as worthy as how much money is in my business account. I am as worthy as how well my business is doing. I am something that you can measure, because I think as an achiever, you want to see numbers, you want to see progress, you want to see all this stuff. And so you think as a person, you can't have something else unless you do this. And that is not a great way of thinking. You're already worthy of that, whether or not you have accomplished X, Y, or Z. So that's a huge thing that I think a lot of women struggle with, period, is thinking that they have to do all these things before they actually count. But something that I like to mention to people too is, I'm like, I know this is kind of a sad way of thinking of things, but think about it if you're not there and the impact that that has. Because if you don't take care of this and you don't take care of this, you're not going to be able to be there for them.
100%.
And then what happens? So in order for you to be there for them as long and as beautifully as you want to be, if you don't take care of this and this, you're not there as much as they need you to be anyways. So it's incredibly important that you take care of you first.
I agree. I was telling my husband recently, I was like joking with him, and I was like, mama goes down, the house goes down. And how many times is that so true to any one of our houses, where you go down and get sick and the whole place goes to like hell in a handbasket? Like the place becomes a circus. You've got kids hanging from walls. The place is like, we're eating mac and cheese out of the box. Like, I mean, I've done it where you're like, I'm sick, please just figure it out. And you're literally like, I don't even know if you've eaten all day. Like, you're eating fruit snacks for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, the house goes down when you're not there. And that's it's actually a study out about the fact that the mother's health has a direct impact on the health of her children, which then in turn is the health of the house. There's studies out showing how important and like intricate the fact of the matter that the mother can make or break a home, and how important your health is to that home. And you've got to put you first. I call it the me lifestyle, myself, and then everyone else. You've got to think, I got to put me first so that I can be at my best.
Yes. And that's not a burden, ladies. That is a beautiful responsibility to be able to know that you are that impactful on so many people that you love. So I know sometimes mindset can be a big thing around that too. And them thinking, well, why is it all me? You know, it's a beautiful responsibility. It's something that we do need to take seriously, because we do love the people that live in our house, and we can make such a huge impact on them. And what a gift that is to be able to make that kind of impact on other people. And that impact will last the rest of their entire lives. How many times do we talk about, like, well, when I was a kid, or things that happened when I was a kid? Well, into adulthood, you're going to be talking about what happened when you were a kid, you know? So that does make a massive impact on their lives forever. So take that responsibility seriously and make it the best that you possibly can for those people that you love in your house, because it really is a cool thing to be able to be that person.
Yeah, it really is. It's an awesome responsibility, and it's cool. It's really cool to see. I think for myself, that was something that I was like, I was that person, was like, why me? Why do I have to be the one that has to give up everything, or be the one that's like the sole essence of the house? Like, why can't you guys figure it out? And it's like, no, that's an incredible responsibility. Like you said, it's just it's a cool thing to have to do. You know, yes, my husband is here and he will support, especially if I were to fill him in and tell him exactly what was needed. but it's a natural instinct that the mother is the key of the house.
Yes, it is. And I love it. Then
Yeah.
you can set stuff up however you want.
Yeah.
That's a great place to be. Well, thank you so much for this conversation, Stephanie. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. I'm so excited to be able to promote Sweet Disaster and be able to send people your way so that they can work with you. I'd love to get you on. We have a membership that's rolling out in June that I'm so excited about. And this is a topic that is a really big one that a lot of ladies struggle with. So we'll have to talk about having you come on to be a mastermind guest so that we can spread the word even more so to the ladies that are in our membership. So this will be really awesome. I'm looking forward to working with you some more.
I would love that. That would be incredible. That gets me so excited because I love pouring into other moms. So I would be honored to be a part of it with you. And I cannot wait to see the more collaborations and get your podcast, like this podcast, out into even more hands. I am so excited.
Yes, it'll be so awesome. So in closing, I always ask everybody this question because when I tell people I have a podcast and a community called Ladies Kicking Ass, they're like, what's that about? You know, it's always very intriguing to people. So my final question for you is, what does the phrase ladies kicking ass mean to you?
That means a community of women who would come together to just be powerhouses. And I get the image. It's a true image in my head when you say that, because it's powerful. I'm very imaginative. Like I have to see it to believe it. Or I'm a picture person, so I have to see. And it's this image of moms with children next to them, all linking arms, and just some are in suits, some are not in suits. We are all linking arms, and we are in our purpose, just being powerhouses.
That's incredible. Incredible. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everybody, all the links and everything that we talked about with Stephanie's business will be in the show notes below. So make sure that you click on the link to follow her on IG and then check out any of her programs if you're interested in working with her further. And then, of course, we'll let you know as soon as we get scheduled for a mastermind. Thanks.